here in Asheville, you know, you're going over to your friend's house, you know, you're invited to a party, you can call ahead and say, hey, remember me? You know, it's like, you know, I am vegan, you know, could you lay on some, you know, tofu or something for me, you know, I'm a vegetarian thing. It's not a problem, it's not awkward, you can do that. Certainly you can call ahead to restaurants here or in New York or anywhere in the States. Do you have any vegetarian options? If not, maybe they'll, you know, scrounge up something. Again, not a problem. And true, if you're going to Rome or Paris or London or Sao Paulo for that matter, you can elegantly take care of your particular needs. Fine, got no problem with it. It's your choice, do it, you know, and go forward and God bless you, okay? But how do you travel the developing world, you know, politely? You know, how do you, I don't have a lot of virtues. This should be obvious to you, okay? If I have one virtue, it's curiosity, okay? I think that's a virtue. And I cannot, you know, the traveling vegetarian thing offends me for a couple of reasons. One of them, first and foremost, is I cannot imagine, given how little time we have on this planet, how little time at the table we have, how few of us in America have passports, how hard it is and how lucky I am. You know, I was a guy who stood next to a damn fryer for my whole life. 40 years old, before Kitchen Confidential came out, I thought, this is it. I was pretty goddamn sure, if I was sure of anything, I would never see Saigon, I would never see Hong Kong, I would probably never see Rome. So when I arrived, you know, when things change, I suddenly find myself traveling the world, and I find myself in Thailand, I feel pretty goddamn lucky. So I don't understand how anyone, for any reason, could find themselves fortunate enough to go to an amazing country like Thailand, 6,000 years of incredible culinary tradition, incredible diverse groups of people cooking all these wonderful things that took them so long to develop, years of struggle and deprivation to get at these things, making the most of what little have, all of these colors and textures and flavors. How could you show up in Thailand and not say, yes, 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 I will try everything that's offered? How can you show up in a place like that and say, I'm really not interested in your long struggle. I'm really not interested in, you know, all that you might have to offer. You know, do you have a spinach salad? I just can't imagine that. How could you reject that knowledge, that experience, those personal relationships that you may or may not be making? It's like, to me, it's like going to the Louvre in Paris and announcing beforehand, I will only be looking at paintings in the color blue and black. I really don't need to see the others, because they can't be that good or that important to divert me from my own choices, my own principles. So what possible reason could you have? Well, there's the health thing, you know. I'm looking after my body. My personal health is important. The cleanliness of my colon and general well-being. That's no reason. We've established long ago on this show that, you know, a little extra time on the Thunder Bucket is a price that we pay for travel. So that ain't working for me. What about principles? I have principles. I like cute animals. Who doesn't like cute animals? In fact, I have a lot in common with PETA. I'm against fur. Okay, I'm against it. Unless you're above the Arctic Circle, where, believe me, you need fur. You really need fur. That Patagonia shit is not going to work. But below the Arctic Circle, I see no reason for it. I'm against it. I would cheerfully see it gone forever. Okay? Animal testing of cosmetics on monkeys and other cute animals. I'm against it. That just seems wrong to me. Circuses, don't like them. I'm against them. Even zoos, I can do without that. Crocodile hunter, I think he got what he deserved. Please. Do you think any crocodile was happier for having known Steve Irwin? Oh, here comes that annoying fucktard in shorts again to poke me with a stick. So I am. I'm like St. Francis of fucking Assisi here, all right? And I have principles too, just like my vegetarian friends. I have very strong principles. I have very strong ideas about, what is a pet and what is food. It's hypocritical, as the PETA people will point out. They often say, oh, so you eat pig? Would you eat a dog? Well, I try not to. I try very hard not to, and I've managed to avoid it. over many years, and again, admittedly, for completely hypocritical, arbitrary reasons. I anthropomorphize the dog. I grew up in Disney films, an old yeller. I had dogs. They're pink. They look at me with the eyes. The pig is smarter than the dog. I get that. Probably much more delicious, but in my mind, because of my upbringing and for arbitrary and hypocritical reasons, I attach a certain importance and certain characteristics to cute dogs, and I would rather not eat one. And I've managed to avoid it over the years. Many times driving around with a friend or a fixer or a sidekick in places like Vietnam, we'll pass the restaurant and they're all over the place. Hey, come on, let's eat some dog. It's really awesome. Everybody does it here. It's really good. And don't worry, it's mountain dog. It's not city dog. And I always say, no, that's all right, dude. We'll just, I'm in a flow right now. I'd really rather something else. Okay? But if I find myself in a situation like has happened so many times, and understand Vietnam in particular is a country where, particularly when I started going there, in parts of the country, it was a big deal to see an American. I'd have to walk around with a ready-made excuse in my head of my cycle driver or people I met in the street would always invite me to dinner, and I understood that they're going to, just because I'm an American, all of these people were like, oh, you're from America, come to my house. Let me show you how great our country is. Let me show you how great our food is. They have very little. They kill the one chicken the family had for a week. They bankrupt their family for a week. For the honor, for the privilege, for the pride of showing a foreigner, and an American, what they had and how much they could do. They're telling you so. This is where I come from. This is what my grandfather taught me how to make. It's a big deal. And I understood that you show up at somebody's home, the neighbors are coming over. We're eating at Mr. Ho's house outside of Canto in the Mekong Delta. All the kids, all the families around Mr. Ho's farm are aware of it. The Americans are coming. You big, freakish, hairy, smelly foreign devils are coming. Let's go over there and look. Look at their hairy arms. God, they're ugly. But I wonder if they will like Mr. Ho's food. And they're all looking, and they want us to be happy. They're pouring the rice whiskey, and they're playing music. So I like to think, in spite of the fact that I think a dog is a pet and not food, if I found myself in a situation in notional Mr. Ho's house in the Mekong Delta, if I'm surprised when Mr. Ho suddenly emerges from the kitchen with a big platter of, say, grilled puppy heads, I like to think that given the choice between violating my own deeply held principles and revulsion for the very idea of eating dog, between that and offending my host, that I would have the courage to say, pass the fucking puppy heads. Why? Because we choose to live by the grandma rule. The grandma rule is simply this. If I go to my grandmother's house on Thanksgiving, I generally don't like her turkey. It's one of those nasty butterball supermarket turkeys. It's always overcooked. It's oversalted. There's that boxed stovetop stuffing jammed in there. It's cold in the center. There's the gravy's coming out of a jar. The cranberry sauce slides intact out of a can. I finish my plate. And I mop the sauce. And I say, thank you, Grandma. It's delicious. Of course I'll have seconds. Why? Because it's Grandma's fucking house. Why is it Grandma's house? I will eat Grandma's food. That's all. Unless I'm in Iceland. Oh, wow. That is, I think, the word unspeakably nasty. This is probably the single worst thing I've ever put in my mouth. I think an exception to the grandma rule is if whoever's serving you the food or preparing your food is wearing thick rubber gloves. If they're not willing to touch it, you don't have to eat it. Okay? This is a Liberia